Welcome back to Diving Into Watches, and we got a really good review for you today. It is with a watch from one of my favorite watch companies, which I own many of, Seiko. We're going to be doing a review of the Seiko Landshark, which is now a discontinued watch by Seiko, but you still can pick it up at places like Joma Shop, Amazon, and Long Island Watch still has them. So they're still new in stock, but they are now a discontinued watch. The Seiko Landshark originally started in 2005, part of the Seiko 5 line. And the reason it is called the Landshark is because of its capability on land due to its internal compass and its ability in the water, because it has a 200-meter water resistance. Even though it is not technically a dive watch, you could dive with it, but it does not have a timing bezel on it. It's more geared for land navigation as it has internal compass, and it does have a 60-minute ring timer. I'm sorry, not ring timer, 60-minute bezel timer on the ring in 5-minute increments. We'll go more over it on the bench when we do a full review, a close-up review. But I've owned this watch for quite a while, and it's one of my go-to all-the-time watches. Very, very comfortable, very cool design with the internal compass and the 60-minute timer on the outside. It has a day date on it. It's really great. It's very, very comfortable. It is definitely a multifunctional watch. This could definitely be a military use watch. Not the compass inside, and I'll cover on the bench why. It's just not as reliable is not the word. It doesn't hold true when you tie it in, because the way the hand on it, it'll roll. I'll cover that on the bench. But it is definitely a multi-purpose tool watch that you could definitely get use out of if you're going to do any type of water sports, water activity, land activity. It's just a solid tank of a watch. It's definitely a tool watch, and it is probably one of the best ones that Seiko has made. It is an old movement, the 7S36, which is non-winding, non-hacking. I'm sorry, non-self. It's non-winding, hand winding, and non-hacking. So it's self-winding. So you have to give it the Seiko shake. I know a lot of people do not like that. They say it's an old movement. It's outdated. I disagree. I think it's a good movement for what it is. It's a total workhorse. It's the Toyota Tacoma of movements. Yeah, it's not hacking, but how many of you are calling artillery barrages, or you're coordinating kicking indoors, on a drug raid or some, military movement or law enforcement movement. We have to coordinate times exactly. Yeah, it's no big deal. And the Seiko shake, I actually prefer that than have to unscrew it and wind it. So I know people in the comments will disagree with me, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the 7S36 or the 7S26, which is in the old SKX 007 and 009, which I still need to review my 009. That's a fantastic watch. Could you pull this movement out and upgrade it to a 4R36? Sure, not a problem. Or an NH36 if you're going to put a non factory Seiko movement, even though it's made by Seiko. I still think it's a great movement. It's a solid movement. It's a workhorse. I don't think you're going to have any issues with it. I think by the amount of watches that it's in and the longevity that's been in watches, I think it is proven as a solid workhorse. And I think that's also what makes this watch stay affordable. So you can pick these up on Joma Shop, Amazon, and Long Island. I think right in that 240 to 250 range. So definitely, if you're looking to get one, pick one up as they are discontinued, which means they are not making them anymore, but you can still get new in stock at those 3 locations. And know that if you go through Joma Shop, you're not going to get the factory warranty, the 2-year warranty. You're going to get Joma Shop's warranty, because they're a gray dealer, gray market dealer of watches, even though it is still new in stock. I think through Amazon and through Long Island, you'll get the factory warranty. But without further ado, let's get over to the bench and let's do a little more in-depth look at the Seiko, aka Landshark Atlas. All right, folks, here we go. This is the Seiko 5 Sports, aka Landshark Atlas. It is, as I said earlier, it is a really, really good tool watch. Before I get into the cool things about the watch, let's go over the dimensions real quick. It is a 40 millimeter case. It is 48 millimeters from lug to lug, and it is a 20 millimeter watch. 20 millimeter lug, and it is 14 millimeters thick. So it's not thin, but it's not overly thick. So you don't have to worry about that there at all. If you're looking at the watch, you can see it's a black dial. You got day, date, and then you have the two sword hands with little. I don't see if you can make it out here. Little tiny pointers on the end that are outlined in yellow, as is also the seconds hand, also outlined in yellow. And then it has Lumi Bright, the Super Luminova of Seiko inside the hands, and also on the very tip of the seconds hand. You got the 12, 6, and 9. There's no 3 because you got the day date. And then you have the indices, which are smudge on there. The indices, which are painted on. They are not applied indices. They're painted on indices. They are also Super Luminova Bright. And then they have minute markers in between. And then down below, you have water resistant 200 meters, automatic 23 joules. And then down here in the very bottom, you can't really see it. I'm not going to try to zoom, but it says 7S36 and it says Japan. You have the chapter ring, bezel ring, which is aluminum, and it has 5-minute marker increments in it. So you could use it as a timer, kind of like a diving bezel, but not definitely not a dive watch. The inner compass is on the inner of the chapter ring, and it is used by this dial right here, which does have the Seiko 5 emblem on it, and the chapter ring does not. I'm sorry, not chapter ring. The crown does not. The way you move it is just by turning this here. It'll change the compass inside to west or whatever way you want it. The reason my groan with this one is when it's on your wrist and the watch moves, this is very, very easy to move. So if you were trying to use this as a true compass, you would get lost, because when it's on your wrist, this takes the slightest movement of the watch and this whole ring will start to move. So throughout the day, if you started at north, by the end of the day, usually for me, it's between south and southwest. And that's just simply because it's on your wrist, and as it moves, this moves very, very easily. There's no way to screw it down or lock it in. So it is a cool feature, but it's not a usable feature at all. The knurling on the crown at the 4 o'clock position is very grippy and very nice. The crown is actually on the smaller side and can be kind of a booger to turn to unloosen it, but it because of that grip, it's not a problem. The case itself is bead blasted all around, and then at the very top here, just this inner part of the female end link is not bead blasted. It is polished, and then the underside of the case is polished also, with just the Seiko 5 Sports logo on it. So that is kind of nice. I do like the bead blast. You typically don't see this on Seiko watches. I think that just kind of goes with the whole outdoor appeal of the watch. The chapter ring, it is not a coin edge. It's the I don't want to call it knurling or whatever. It's not very grippy at all. It's kind of a challenge to turn it. It is 120 click bezel unidirectional. And I did notice that when I get to the 5 o'clock, let me bring it back around here. Let's see. Yeah, see, it's kind of a booger to grip. I'm having a hard time gripping this thing here. Mine does line up right with the 12, so that is nice. The clasp, the band is your typical Seiko band. It's in Stampa Seiko. It has fold over clasp, but it is a double deployment clasp, which I do like. I just really like that for the extra safety, even though I've never had one unclasped. It is your typical stamped clasp on the inside, and then it is an oyster style bracelet with push button. I'm sorry, not push button, but pin and collar push links. And then it does have one micro adjustment on the band, so you're not going to be able to dial it in for absolute fit off the adjustments here, but I was able to get it to fit very nicely, and I'll give you some wrist shots on my 6 1/4 inch wrist. So that is nice on that part. It would look very nice on any other watch strap you'd want to put it on, a 2-piece nylon or a silicone strap. You could put it on a NATO. I'm not a huge fan. You all know that I'm not a fan of NATOs at all, because it just puts too much material under the watch, and then because I have a small wrist, I have so much material come back over, I have to fold back over. It just makes it feel so big and bulky. I know some people are big fans of NATOs. I am not a big fan of NATO. I like two-piece NATOs, which is just a two-piece nylon with the NATO style. This one I will probably always keep on the bracelet because it's very comfortable. It looks very nice on the bracelet. Let me go ahead and show you the bracelet shot, and then after the bracelet shot, we'll do a lume shot. I am, quick watch check, I am wearing my Glycine Combat Sub GL0083. I've been wearing this watch a ton. I absolutely just love this watch. I did a review. I'll put a link down in the descriptions. This is a great Swiss watch by a Swiss company with a Swiss movement, Swiss build, but you're not paying a Swiss price. Go ahead and check out that review. This is just an absolutely excellent watch. I just love this watch. But let's go ahead and get a wrist shot of the Landshark. There it is on my 6¼ inch wrist. And you can see, even though you can't do micro adjustments on the end links here, it sits and fits adjusted very nicely to my small wrist. It fits very comfortably on the wrist, and that is due to the female end links. It lets it collapse down very nicely on the sides, so you get a very comfortable fit. It is not too snug. It's not too loose. This is one of the few watches that I've actually been to dial in very nicely on the bracelet. It's very comfortably, very flat. But see how the dial for the compass sits right against the skin. It does move over time, and you can already see it's moved some. Just if you move your wrist back and forth, like if you had to snap your wrist, you can see that compass moves, and it's moving around. But is that a deal killer for me? No. I think the novelty of it's really cool. I would never use this as a compass, so I'm not too worried about that. You can see just on the skin moving it. But I think just that kind of creates the overall cool feature of the watch. I'll give you some other wrist shots also, the typical pocket shot. But let's go ahead and get a lume shot of it real quick so you can see what the lume looks like on this one. There is the lume on the Landshark. You can see the hands light up very nicely, the numbers light up, and then the markers in between the numbers light up nicely. There is no lumed pip, and there is no lumed date on there anywhere, and there is no lume pip by the date. Just the numbers and then the indices in the hands, and then the seconds hand should be lumed on the end. There it goes. It's just now coming across up here at the top. It's just now coming across the hour hand. It just disappeared. You can see it's got a little bit of lume on it also. So you can see, as typical of Seiko, the lume is very, very good. Overall, this is an excellent watch. I don't think you can go wrong with this, adding the Seiko to your collection. If you want to get a hold of one of these that's now discontinued, get it before it goes out. As we all know, when watches become discontinued and they become more popular, the prices tend to increase substantially. This is definitely a good one to add to your collection. My only moan is the inner bezel moves too much. It's just not a reliable source of a compass. And then the grip on the bezel is almost non-existent. So if you had wet hands or something, slippery on your hands, you'd have a hard time moving this. Not that I would think you would use it for much, other than timing if you wanted to. But other than that, I think it's an excellent buy at like $250. You can't absolutely go wrong. It is an old movement, but it's still a solid movement. I think it's a solid workhorse. I don't think there's anything wrong with this movement. But if it bothered you that bad down the road, if it got bad, you could swap in a 4R36, no problem. And then you would have a hacking and hand windable movement in it. Without further ado, though, let's go back over to the studio and give you my final thoughts on the Seiko Sports 5 Landshark Atlas. Well, there you have it, folks. There is the review of the Seiko 5 Sports Landshark Atlas. I think this is a solid watch to add to your kit. I think this is a great watch for anybody in the military, especially junior enlisted, because the price right now is so affordable. This would definitely work awesome as a field watch, deployment watch. You would get a lot of use out of this. It's very, very reliable, and it is affordable. Hell, if you're into camping and all that, this is also a great outdoors watch that you can just beat on all the time. I use this quite a bit working on cars in my truck and doing stuff outside. Even if you're a desk diver, even though it's not a dive watch, this would still be a cool, casual, business casual watch. Solid. It's not big. It's not chunky. It's not overpowering, and it is extremely, extremely affordable, even though now it is discontinued. So prices will start going up as the popularity kind of happens when watches get really rediscovered and and the scarcity comes. This watch has been around since 2005, so it's had a long run. That's over 15 years that it's been on the market. So go ahead, pick one up, add one to your collection. If you have one, put it down in the comments. How long have you had it? Do you like it? What don't you like about it? Do you think it's a solid watch? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this is a crappy watch? I think this is a really good sleeper one that you don't see a lot of info on Instagram or on YouTube about. I would pick one up if I was you. I did, and I'm extremely happy. Okay, thanks again for watching. I appreciate everybody who's been subscribing. Our subscriber base continues to grow, and we can't do it without you. We do these videos for you. Without your support, we can't do these videos. Please hit that subscribe button. Give us a big thumbs up, because those two things help us get the algorithm out. It gets it out to more people, which helps us get more subscribers so we can bring in more watches. We got more great watches coming for you. Hey, everybody, stay safe. Have a great weekend. And until next week, we'll see you. I'm diving into watches, and I'm out.